Okay, welcome USVA history students. This is your review for your day 6 homework and your review for your quiz, which for A day students is on Monday. B day students will be on Tuesday. Um, so this is a great map to look at when trying to remember where the different regions of colonies are. The red colonies, so up here Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, which is actually part of Massachusetts. But all these up here, just underneath Canada, are all the New England colonies. Middle colonies, so the yellow or orange ones, so New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware are the middle colonies, and southern colonies are the green, so Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia are all the southern colonies, the green ones. And notice on this map, they consider Maryland a southern colony. Sometimes it's a middle colony. And one thing also to keep in mind is that up here, this brown area is Canada, so that's France who settled up there, and Florida down here, which you see the top of, that's a Spanish colony. So the 13 colonies are only these areas, these 13 right in the middle here. Okay, so for an overview of the New England colonies, so this region right here in the upper part of the East Coast, for the most part, this area is settled by Puritans or Pilgrims or Separatists, basically people looking for religious freedom. They didn't like the way that the king in England was forcing them to practice their religion, so they said, we're just going to separate from that church and create our own colony where we can have our own religion and practice it without being persecuted. And then we talked about kind of the ironic part of that was if you lived in Massachusetts and you weren't a Puritan or you weren't Puritan enough, they'd end up probably kicking you out. So pretty much everyone in the New England colonies were coming there to look for religious freedom. And they're also known for writing the Mayflower Compact, which is kind of an agreement to create the very first government and to create some of the first laws in the colonies. They signed this agreement before they even got off the boat, and they said, we're going to decide who's in charge. We're going to decide and put in writing all the reasons that we're actually coming here. And it said things like, okay, we're coming here to create a colony to forward the Christian ideals and to practice our religion without being persecuted. And then they had some things like who's going to be in charge and things like that. The climate and weather in the New England colonies affected the economy there. Really long, cold winters, short growing seasons in New England made it impossible to farm a lot. So there's very little farming, and the soil was really rocky. So it's a pretty bad place for farming. So because of that, their economy, or the way that people got jobs and made money, was mostly in shipbuilding and fishing, but things other than farming. Anyone who was a farmer in Massachusetts or one of the New England colonies was like a subsistence farmer, which meant that they'd farm enough for themselves and their family, but not enough to feed anyone else because it was just too difficult there. For the middle colonies, so just underneath New England, like here's New England, here are the middle colonies, so like New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, and sometimes Maryland. People in the middle colonies basically came for lots of different reasons. There are some people coming for religious freedom, like Puritans, or Catholics, or Jews. Some people came for economic opportunities, which meant they probably came to work in one of these industries, the cattle industries, fishing, fur industry. People came for lots of different reasons, and people came from all over Europe. So we could say it's a diverse group of religions here. So you had lots of different religions and lots of different types of settlers, people from lots of different countries and coming for lots of different reasons. So a good way to remember the middle colonies, it's kind of a mix of New England and the southern colonies. So lastly, the southern colonies. Here they consider Maryland the southern colony in this map, so Maryland, Virginia, the Carolinas, and Georgia. For the most part, southern colonies were settled by people looking for economic opportunities or people looking to make money. Remember at Jamestown, the first people arrived there to find gold. In the South, really long growing seasons, which meant that their economy ended up being based on agriculture. In other words, the weather's really nice for much longer and the soil's really good, so people farmed a lot. And because of that, we see the first slaves arrive here in 1619. The first permanent English settlement in the colonies was Jamestown in 1607. There were a couple other not so permanent settlements like at Roanoke or a couple others in Virginia and North Carolina, but they weren't permanent because they ended up disappearing. But at Jamestown, once they settled, they were able to stay there. Tobacco ended up becoming a cash crop, or a crop that people were able to make lots of money from, especially in Virginia, and the Virginia House of Burgesses became the first elected assembly in the New World. So basically that means they were able to create a government there. So that's all I have for your review. Remember to fill out the questions that are in the description of the video or on Student View. And I'll also be doing a binder check when you guys take your quiz on Monday or Tuesday. So please email me with any questions or just ask me on Monday or Tuesday.